This is part 2 of dealing with umpires, especially from the catching position. Afternoon, everybody. In my last video, I talked a little bit about handling your pitchers in a particular situation where what we used to call Mr. Whipple, and that's squeezing the strike zone. Okay, so if you haven't seen that one, go back, please take a look at it. Today I want to talk a little bit about, as a catcher, when I made reference to let us handle it with the blue. Because we're going to do it in such a way that it's not going to be noticeable to anybody. Okay, I mean, I've had major conversations with umpires and no one has heard a word, so you're not bringing attention to yourself, which is something they just totally despise, and you're not going to get anywhere if you do that. Except one time, and I'll get into that. So real briefly, what I used to do is I used to go back behind the dish, and instead of attacking him, I'd ask a question. On the pitch, if you call it a ball, say, well, was that low? And in such a way where it wasn't disrespectful or could be taken as a challenge to his authority, all right? Only on a few occasions, and one in particular that I'll tell you about, was I got rung up the prior half inning. I was the third out, got called out on a third strike, went out to catch the same pitch. When I caught it, he called it a ball, and then I said, hey, you can't do that. It's got to be one way only. If you're going to ring me up on that, I need that same pitch from my pitcher. And that's about the only time I really challenged an umpire in regards like that. So anyway, you want to bring the attention to you where it's not noticeable to anyone else. Although on one particular occasion, the umpire and I were going back and forth quite a bit, and the hitter actually told us both to shut up. He said he's trying to focus. He goes, you guys are distracting me. I told him I'll shut up and get in the box, and the umpire told him to swing the butt out of our business. I mean, it was kind of comical. So anyway, don't challenge him, but you can ask him a question. Was that inside? Was that high? Was it low? Was it outside? And then you're starting to get an idea of what his strike zone is, and you make the adaptation accordingly. Now, one thing I want to say, I used to hate coaches who would scream from the dugout, Tony, was that a strike? And one particular case, on the third time that happened, the ump says, you answer him, you and he are both gone. I'm going to toss both of you. And I said, hey, do me a favor, toss them, make my job a heck of a lot easier. I said, but don't put me in between. So he walked over and told him next time he opened his mouth, he was getting tossed. So for you young catchers and coaches out there, what I used to do as a coach, when I wanted to get my catcher's attention on that, we had a little code, and I would yell out whatever the code word was. And then if we were in the first base dugout, his throwing hand, he'd either make a fist, which meant it was a strike, or he'd open it, which was a ball. If we were on the glove side or the third base dugout, he'd keep the glove straight for a ball and drop it open for a strike. That way I knew, and no one else knew what was going on, but I wanted an idea of what the strike zone was. So anyway, just a few little tidbits there that maybe you guys can use in your own game. And I would want one umpire story I'd like to tell you, and I'll make it quick, was when I was coaching and both of our catchers were in the ball game. So I had bullpen duty. And so the way the field was arranged, the bullpen was right behind the dugout. You could hear what was going on, but you couldn't see. So anyway, I get the guy warmed up, we entered the dugout, and there's the head coach, and I mean, he's got his cap around, and he's nose to nose with the blue. And I said, what's going on? And one of the assistant coaches says, you got tossed. I go, what? He says, he threw you out. I said, how the hell can I get thrown out of a ball game? I've been in the bullpen. He goes, oh, I know, someone in here popped off and your buddy behind the plate there just yelled your name and said you're out of here. So the head coach gets done arguing. He comes over and he says, hey, I couldn't change his mind. I couldn't convince him it wasn't you. So go get your money's worth. And the reason that occurred was this guy and I, we had a feud going. I challenged him one time and he never got over it. So anyway, guys, have a great time playing. Hopefully some of this information is useful to you, and have a great day.